Sun Pharma is a stock on our radar. Remember, it came out with a mixed set of earnings. The revenue growth was good, but the profits misread expectations. We have Uday Baldota, the CFO of the company, and joining in to take us through the interview, our very own Archana Shukla. Archana.
Well, thanks, Reema. Yes, we have Uday Baldota, Group CFO of Sun Pharmaceutical, to talk us through the numbers and the analysis and also the future prospects of the company. Thanks a lot, Uday, for sparing time with CNBC TV 18. Let me start by asking you about on the revenue front. While we saw 13% growth in this quarter, on a sequential basis, we saw ex-Taro, there was just a very slow growth of 3%. What were the factors that actually impacted this sort of a muted growth on a sequential basis?
That's not the way we've seen the numbers, but I think we also articulated on the call, and just for me to repeat, there are clearly a few products on which we have indicated earlier that these are sort of non-recurring sales, and to that extent the impact of those products has declined quite dramatically. So it would be products like repaglinide, products like duloxetine, doxycycline. So I think, to the extent that these sales were non-recurring in nature, it would be visible in the sales for the quarter. But despite that shrinkage, I think the overall growth for the US business has still been, I would say, considering this fact, has been quite strong.
So if we remove Taro's performance, ex-Taro, how does the US business look like? Where is this optimism coming in from for the US market in terms of products, in terms of growth?
I think ex-Taro, for you to look at numbers would be difficult because Taro doesn't give the breakup of US, non-US. So I think it would be a very broad assumption that you would have made, and to that extent, I think it's difficult to respond to whatever number you computed. In our view, as I said, that on some products, it was a known fact that these products will ultimately go down when more competition comes in. But despite that, I think the business has held up quite well.
Well, you named some of the products where competition had come in, doxycycline, Prandin, niacin being some of them. Could you take us through how's the competitive landscape right now in terms of sales, in terms of market share? What sort of price erosions have you seen in the market?
Again, specific products would be difficult, but you are aware that when 180-day marketing exclusivity expires and there is a rush of other generic companies coming into the market, the price erosion is quite substantial, and that is something that we would have seen in repaglinide. I think when we look at doxycycline, it's similar that other competitors have come in, and to that extent there has been a substantial price erosion. Again, I think talking specific numbers would be difficult, but it's quite harsh.
Well, a lot of the push in terms of growth for margins has come in from Taro, and that's because some of the price hikes that Taro took for some of the products. How is the run rate for these price hikes for Taro? I remember in past quarters you've also said that possibly it's not sustainable over the long run. But if we look at it from this fiscal perspective, is it sustainable at these levels?
I think difficult for me to talk about specifically about Taro because they've also had a call, and I think they've indicated to their investor what is sustainable, not sustainable. I think when we looked at our overall year guidance, we factored in the performance that each part of our business will deliver, for the year. And to that extent, I would say that whatever is the expected performance of Taro in the second half is already built into that guidance that we've given.
Well, then, talking of guidance, we are in the midway of the fiscal. Looking at your past performance of the last 6 months and projecting, where do you see fiscal 15 to end? What are your guidance in terms of revenues as well as profitability for the company?
I think on the revenue, we are currently not changing our guidance. So, I think that sort of defines how we are looking at the year standing today. 13 to 15% on a constant currency is what we had indicated. I think from a margin perspective, again, it's very difficult to talk of margins, including or excluding Taro. But on the numbers, we specifically talked of some, I would say, long-term non-recurring costs, particularly costs related to, let's say, the acquisition of Ranbaxy, costs related to planning of the integration with Ranbaxy, as well as compliance-related costs on the Sun Pharma side. I think these are some of the costs that we are incurring today, but not necessarily these will continue to recur for a very long time. So I think from that perspective, I think there would be some impact on the margins till these costs are reflected in the P&L.
Talking of Ranbaxy acquisition, what's the status on approvals that you had sought from the Competition Commission of India and FTC in the US? Have you heard from them? Have they sought more details from you as far as the merger is concerned? Where is this process currently?
I think the interaction with the agencies continues, and I think we are seeing a lot of progress on both the sides. I think at an appropriate stage we will probably announce when we reach something of a milestone.
But you had said that December 2014 is when you would close this deal. Are you confident of meeting this deadline, or you anticipate there could be some delays? And would these delays come in from the Competition Commission side?
Yes, I think based on all the approvals that we need, that's what we've indicated. But I don't think we've indicated that these delays are on account of competition authorities. I think we've said overall there may be some delay. So I think discussions are progressing, and they are progressing quite well. The interaction is on, and we are quite hopeful that these will result into getting a clearance from both the authorities, which will help us then close the deal.
Well, one of the deals that you'd announced in this quarter was acquisition of marketing rights for tilrazukimab, the psoriasis drug. What sort of potential do you see for this drug as far as the market is concerned? We understand there is already competition building up, and the other players are way ahead in the clinical trial studies as compared to Sun and Merck.
I think at the ground level, a lot of remediation activity is already happening. So I think we remain committed to 100% compliance, and all the observations that we have received, we would ensure that we are addressing all of those observations. Putting a specific timeline and things like that would be difficult, but I think a lot of work is happening towards getting completely into compliance.
Well, I was asking on the tilrazukimab drug that you have acquired from Merck, and what's the progress in terms of the clinical trials, and do you think you are late in that study, and what sort of potential do you see?
I think based on what we've studied about this drug and the drugs that are in the market today, as well as drugs that are under development by other players, I think our confidence in this is based on what we see in terms of the profile of this drug and the moves of other companies who are also looking at drugs in the same class. And that sort of gives us confidence that there is a substantial opportunity for this drug to come to market and provide a superior treatment to patients. So I think it's our assessment on where this drug is, what is the data generated till now, and what's happening with the products that others are developing, and this confidence, I would say, and optimism is coming out of that assessment.
All right. Any investments that you could highlight that you would make in the clinical trials for this drug, and any timelines that you're indicating for NDA submissions?
So, I think 80 million is what is the upfront, and I think on the call, I think there was some mention that Mr. Sanghvi made of that over the next 5-year duration, the investment could be in the range of something like 250 million.
You have also had signed another deal with Merck in 2011. That was for branded generics for the emerging markets. What's the progress on that front? Do we see some bit of restructuring being done, maybe assessment for a termination?
Yes, I think initial list of products has been finalized and work is progressing on those products to bring some of these to market. Beyond that, at the moment, there is really no update on that.
We understand that possibly the two players are assessing possibility of a termination of this deal. Could you confirm or clarify on that? Is there a talk of maybe a restructuring or termination and calling off this joint venture?
I think currently there is no such thinking.
All right, Uday. Thanks a lot for sparing time for CNBC TV 18 and giving us those clarifications and analysis.